I was going to do my video in alphabetical order, but I decided to do the smaller brown warblers that are difficult to ID first. The only three I had visit my yard were the palm warbler, the pine warbler, and the yellow-rumped warbler. So here are 3 still shots, and the beginning of the video will have these 3 to start with. This little yellow-rumped is also called butterbud by many birders. This winter warbler is a palm warbler. A lot of winter migrant warblers are really hard to ID because they're small, brown, fast birds. Many of them look very similar, and a few, like the palm warbler and the pine warbler and the prairie warbler, can be difficult to identify. I've not seen that many migrants in my yard this winter, and as a matter of fact, I haven't seen one goldfinch, which is very odd. I remember how to identify the palm warbler by the fact that it flicks its tail up and down. I think of it as a hand moving the fingers up and down. So it always reminds me of my hand flicking my fingers up and down. And then I remember palm warbler. So I've got a weird, strange way of remembering the palm warbler, but that's how I do it, and it seems to work for me. Palm warblers eat insects and seeds, and here he is taking advantage of bits of corn on my feeding table. They will eat just about anything that they can get a hold of. They especially like termites, so if termites are swarming, they will feast on them until they can't eat anymore. This one decided to eat some peanut butter out of my suet feeders, and I've got to say, this is the first time I've ever seen a palm warbler eating peanut butter, but it's probably giving him lots of good calories. This sweet little warbler is a pine warbler. They look very similar to prairie warblers because of their size and the fact that they have a lot of yellow on their front. However, pine warblers have white wing bars and their cheeks are bare, whereas the prairie warbler has a black ring running through its eye and its cheek and lacks the wing bars. Just like the palm warblers, they eat insects and seeds and pretty much anything they can catch. They love scouring people's lawns for insects. So sometimes you can see these little tiny birds, almost the size of leaves falling from the tree, hopping around in your front yard. So it's most likely some type of winter warbler looking for a meal. They also visit my table feeder and eat small pieces of corn and small pieces of sunflower bits. They're very wary little birds. This is a yellow-rumped warbler, which is another hard to ID winter warbler. Because many of them are so similar, it can be really frustrating. The yellow-rump has a little yellow spot at the base of its tail. It's also called the myrtle warbler, and birders like to call them butterbutts. They prefer to scour the lawn for insects. This one was taking advantage of my bird mister and got to take a nice refreshing bath. This beautiful little bird is called a blue-gray gnatcatcher. They eat exclusively insects. They love spiders and caterpillars and gnats and midges. They're super fast and they're very difficult to photograph or video, at least in my experience. They are year-round residents in Florida, but for some reason I see them a lot more often in the wintertime. Blue jays are permanent residents in Florida. This guy is gonna take a bath and refresh himself. They're awfully curious and they're awfully funny to watch. They have really cute behaviors. Their favorite foods are acorns, but when those aren't available, they'll eat sunflower seeds, corn, peanuts, and most bird seed mixes. Sometimes you'll see them filling their throat pouch, so they're a little bit greedy, but I guess it helps because then they can take their food somewhere and eat in peace without competition from another bird. This one apparently didn't have any competition today because he's cracking each sunflower seed he gets off the table. I know a lot of people don't like them because they're aggressive towards other birds and baby birds, but they're in the corvid family and they're one of our most intelligent songbirds. And they're very comical. And they mimic a lot of different sounds that they hear in their environment. I enjoy having the blue jays in my green space. here's a catbird with a brief, very brief appearance of a Carolina wren. In this clip, you can see the rust-colored patch of feathers under their tail very clearly. Catbirds are only here in the winter, and they head back up north in the spring. Unfortunately, they don't nest here. Most sources say they're strictly frugivores, but I haven't found that to be the case. The ones in my green space eat sunflower seeds, suet, and mealworms. This one is eating wax myrtle berries that have fallen on the ground. So I don't believe that I am going to believe that they're strictly frugivores anymore. Having said that, some of their favorite things to eat in my yard right now are pokeweed, beautyberries, and the few mulberries that have just ripened. They're gray and black with that little rust-colored patch under their tail. They're just beautiful birds, and their call sounds like a cat mewing. And that is actually my cat meowing. Perfect timing, Blue. Thank you for that. Well, I hope you enjoy your catbirds this winter. Or rather, enjoyed them, because it's March 20th, so it's the first day of spring. Happy spring. American goldfinches are another winter bird that's only here for a short while. While they're here, they're rather drab in color because their coloration gets more vivid when they're in courting and nesting mode. So that usually happens once they move back up north. However, you do get to see some of the males that are pretty brightly colored. The more mature males have a very dark black cap on their head. And the immature males, you can see the beginnings of the black cap along their forehead. So the males always have a lot more yellow on them than the females. So these are all females except for that male that showed up right at the last minute. This is a sock thistle feeder, so it's filled with black thistle seeds. That's one of goldfinch's favorite foods. And next to that is a sunflower feeder. So they will eat most bird seed mixes, but their favorite is black thistle seed and the smaller black oil seeds. And I think there he is. The squirrel chased them away. So during the winter time, they gather in very large numbers. And a lot of times at the store you'll see like double sock feeders, which are very good because sometimes you might have a flock of 20 or 30 American goldfinches that show up. I hope you got to see some goldfinches this winter. This is a mockingbird eating beautyberry berries. They're year-round residents. However, I wanted to show the importance of having native fruiting plants in your green space in the wintertime. When food is scarce in the winter, they really rely on native plants that have winter berries. Here's the mockingbird eating pokeberries. So that's why I'm always advocating to people to try to keep native plants in your yard that have winter fruit for the birds, because they rely on it in the winter when there's hardly anything else to eat. There's my cheery new resident, a mockingbird. He or she sings to me all day, and actually sometimes into the night. They're one of the few songbirds that you can hear singing at night, or after dark rather. They keep themselves very busy mimicking other sounds they hear in their environment. Here's my mockingbird imitating a bluebird. I thought I might have gotten a bluebird as a resident, but it ended up being the mockingbird. Mourning doves are year-round residents in Central Florida, and they don't migrate, so they're a very common sight here. They amble around the yard looking for weed seeds and the sunflower seeds I put out. They also like to eat the cracked corn I put out for the ducks. I got this gnarly wood from my neighbor's discard pile, and I placed it around some of my flower pots and trees, and I used the little pockets as little miniature seed holders. The birds seem to really like it because it's more natural, and mourning doves aren't that fond of perching on bird feeders, so it's perfect for the little doves. Mourning doves spend a lot of time preening and sunning. They love to do sun baths and preen out in the sunshine. Unfortunately, they sometimes become easy prey for the hawks, but they are lower on the food chain than the hawks, so that's just the way it rolls, unfortunately. They love to lay with their wings spread open, usually on one side or the other. It's my understanding that they do this to help keep the population of lice on their bodies down. Apparently lice don't like blazing hot sun. I have a theory that it agitates the lice, which makes them easier to pick off as they preen. But either way, they're very beautiful watching them sunbathe. So if you see a dove doing this, they're not injured, they're just taking a sun bath. The mourning doves are going in and out of their little secret sunflower seed spot. Spring's just around the corner, so they're starting to pair up. And I think this is a boy and a girl. I've seen them together a lot. Usually they don't hang out together that much. But these guys, I think, have paired up, and hopefully we'll start building a nest pretty soon. Red-bellied woodpeckers are year-round residents. They visit the table feeder every day to get sunflower seeds and cracked corn. This guy takes a seed over to the tree and wedges it into a crevice and then cracks it open. He gets in a zone and he keeps going for quite a while. So in this clip you can see the red belly very distinctly on this red-bellied woodpecker. I think these two are pairing up. When I took this clip, spring was a week away, so I'm pretty sure they were getting ready to pair up and nest, since they're hanging out together all the time. It'll be really nice to see baby woodpeckers. Here's a pretty long clip, but it's slow motion, so that's why it is so long. But this is a red-bellied woodpecker eating sunflower seeds. And he'll pick one up and he goes over and places it in a crevice at the base of this tree and cracks it open. Sometimes they'll store food in the bark of trees to save for later. Towards the end of this clip, a gray catbird comes through to investigate what the red-bellied woodpecker is doing. These are red-winged blackbirds. They're both male. The one on the left with the brown streaking on its back is an immature male. So all three of these guys are male red-winged blackbirds. They like to live near lakes and waterways that have cattails because they love to nest in cattails. The mature males have a bright red patch of feathers on their shoulders that are called epaulets, much like a military uniform would have decorations on the shoulder. So the red-winged blackbirds' red patches are called their epaulets. Usually you don't see that red epaulet, you usually just see a yellow band. They show their red epaulets when they're courting or when they are being aggressive to another bird, much like in the case here, where he's trying to keep this other bird away from his seed source. They readily visit bird feeders and they'll eat most bird seed mixes. They especially like sunflower seeds, cracked corn, and millet. The bird at the bottom, well, it just flew away, but it will come right back, is a yellow-throated warbler. They have black and white stripes and a beautiful yellow throat. And today he's at the feeder tray with two palm warblers. And they are here only for the winter time. There he is at the bottom again on the railroad tie. They're not year-round residents, so they're only winter visitors. And they're very shy and they're very wary of people. But a lot of these winter warblers seem to hang out together. So they're eating cracked corn and probably little pieces of cracked sunflower seeds. Here's a yellow-throated warbler going through the magnolia tree leaves, searching for insects. They eat insects along with sunflower seed chips and cracked corn, and most seeds at bird feeders. Here's another one of him visiting the table, checking for little tidbits. They're just beautiful little warblers, and thankfully they're easy to identify. Oh, there's a tufted titmouse. So this yellow-throated warbler wanted so badly to take a bath, but he's scared of the dripping water. And as I said, they're very skittish, and they just... I don't think he's ever going to be relaxed enough to take his bath this time.